Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
We need to talk about Jameson Williams right now, and we need to do it with the urgency and the conviction that this topic genuinely deserves. Because while everybody in the football world is busy discussing Amon-Ra St. Brown's consistency and Jahmyr Gibbs' bell cow potential and the Terrion Arnold situation that has dominated the news cycle, the most genuinely terrifying offensive weapon on this entire roster is flying completely under the radar in a way that is going to make a lot of people look very foolish when the 2026 season concludes. Jameson Williams is about to set this league on fire, not because of his speed, which has always been elite, not because of his big play ability, which has always been obvious, but because for the first time in his professional career, the complete receiver is emerging alongside the freakish athlete, and the combination of those two things in a player who is still only scratching the surface of his ceiling is the most exciting developmental story in the NFC North. Let us start with what Coach Montgomery actually said at the podium, because this is not hype generated by fan enthusiasm or motivated by hometown loyalty. This is a position coach who watches film every day, who runs practice reps alongside these players, who can see the difference between a receiver who understands the route tree and a receiver who is beginning to understand why the route tree works the way it does. Montgomery described Williams asking questions about the conceptual foundation of the offense, wanting to understand not just what the route calls for, but why the depth is what it is, why the footwork at a specific point in the route matters, what the option route underneath is doing, and how it changes based on defensive leverage and alignment. Those are not the questions of a player who is showing up and running the plays the way they are drawn. Those are the questions of a football mind waking up to the full dimensions of what this game actually is. Montgomery confirmed that this is the best offseason he has seen Williams have since he arrived in Detroit. Best offseason. That declaration from a position coach carries weight that fan analysis simply cannot replicate, because Montgomery is not building hype for a YouTube video. He is describing what he is observing every day in a classroom setting and on a practice field where there are no cameras and no incentives to exaggerate. When a coach tells you a player is asking why the fifth outside foot hit in a similar route is different from the fourth one, he is telling you that player is now operating at a level of conceptual engagement with the offense that turns talented athletes into elite professional receivers. The work ethic dimension of this story is the piece that should excite Lions fans most. Because there is a specific and well-documented pattern in professional football regarding what happens when rare physical talent meets genuine professional dedication. Dan Campbell confirmed Williams was the first one at the facility this offseason. He stayed in Michigan rather than leaving the city during the offseason break. He has been getting to the building consistently. He has been working on expanding his route tree, on his releases off the line, on short area quickness, on getting bigger and stronger. He has been doing the specific things that a player with his physical profile needs to do to become what Coach Montgomery is beginning to describe. Talent beats most people all by itself. Talent with work ethic beats everyone. Jameson Williams is putting those two things together at 23 years old, which is a frightening combination for every cornerback in this league. The football argument for Williams being the most dangerous receiver on this Lions roster is not the same as the argument for him being the most valuable. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the most valuable because he is the most reliable, the most consistent, the most certain to be exactly where Jared Goff expects him to be when Goff's back foot hits the dirt and the ball is coming out. That consistency is what quarterback trust is built on, and it is what makes St. Brown the foundation of this passing offense. But dangerous and valuable are different things. And when you are a defensive coordinator sitting in your film room at midnight trying to figure out how to slow down the Detroit Lions, the player who is keeping you awake is the one whose potential impact is most catastrophic if you make the wrong call. Jameson Williams going vertical on any play changes what every defender on the field has to think about simultaneously. The corner assigned to him cannot play press with no safety help because Williams will run past him before the route develops. The safety cannot aggressively rotate toward the box to help stop the run because Williams will be behind him before the ball is even snapped if the safety commits too early. The middle linebacker cannot drop to his normal zone depth because Williams coming underneath on a crossing route with his speed creates a window where the ball gets there before the linebacker can break on it. This is what it means to have a receiver who sets the spacing of the defense. Williams does not have to catch the ball to affect the game. His presence on the field changes where every defender can and cannot be, and those changes create the exact openings that St. Brown and Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs exploit play after play. The contract situation is where the Lions have caught lightning in a bottle in a way that rivals any value signing in the NFC this offseason, and Brad Holmes deserves specific and direct credit for it. Look at the wide receiver salary rankings and where Williams sits relative to his peers, and the gap between his contract value and his football value is one of the most significant in the league. Jalen Waddle is getting paid more. DJ Moore is getting paid more. Players who are not in the same conversation as Williams in terms of ceiling and impact are receiving more annual compensation. Brandon Ayuk, who is busy burning his career to the ground in San Francisco while taking his talent off the field through behavioral choices that defy explanation, has a higher salary than Jameson Williams. The fact that Brad Holmes was able to get Williams to sign where he signed, in the organization he clearly wants to be in, playing for a coaching staff he clearly trusts, while the market for elite wide receivers was demonstrating what his talent should command, is a negotiating achievement that is going to look even more remarkable as the 2026 season unfolds. Williams is going to want to come back to the table after this season, and rightfully so. If the breakout that every piece of available evidence is pointing toward actually materializes, the gap between his contract and his market value is going to be so obvious that any negotiation will be more formality than debate. The Lions should want to lock him up before that happens. The market for wide receivers is only moving in one direction, and a player with Williams' combination of physical tools and emerging football intelligence is going to command a premium that reflects what he has become rather than what his early career suggested he was. The development trajectory argument is the analytical framework that makes the breakout prediction logical rather than hopeful. Year 1 was effectively a redshirt year due to injury. Year 2 was his actual rookie year in terms of learning NFL speed and NFL coverage and NFL scheme complexity. Year 3 produced a 1,000-yard season. Year 4 built on that 1,000-yard season with continued production improvement. Year 5 is the year where the conceptual understanding that Montgomery is describing converges with the physical tools that were always elite and the expanding route tree that is adding new dimensions to what Williams can do within this offense. This is how legitimate breakout seasons happen for receivers who had unconventional development timelines. The foundation gets built quietly and then the production explodes when everything comes together simultaneously. Jared Goff trusting Williams is the final variable that makes the whole thing work, and it is the variable that this offseason's development is specifically designed to address. Goff's relationship with St. Brown is the model for what trust between a quarterback and a receiver looks like in a functioning NFL passing offense. Goff knows where St. Brown will be. He knows when St. Brown will break on the route. He can throw the ball before St. Brown is open, because he trusts that St. Brown will be open by the time the ball arrives. That kind of anticipatory relationship between a quarterback and a receiver is what turns good passing offenses into great ones, and it is built exclusively through repetition, communication, and the receiver demonstrating consistently that they understand the offense at the level required to be in the right place at the right time. Montgomery is telling you that Williams is developing exactly that understanding. He is asking the conceptual questions that lead to the anticipatory knowledge. He is teaching younger players in the room, which means he is absorbing the offense at a level where he can explain it rather than just execute it. When you can explain why something works, you are operating at a different level than when you can simply do what you were told. Williams is building the foundation for the kind of quarterback trust that turns him from a speed weapon Goff uses opportunistically into a receiver Goff can count on in third and 7 and fourth quarter of a playoff game. That transformation is what separates receivers who have the label of elite from receivers who actually are elite. The fantasy football recommendation is the cherry on top of everything else, because the convergence of undervaluation, developing trust with the quarterback, an offensive coordinator who is excited about what he has available, and a supporting cast that forces defenses to make impossible choices creates the exact conditions where a receiver goes from being a target of opportunity to being a weekly fantasy difference maker. If Williams is available in your draft at anything approaching reasonable value given the attention the Terrion Arnold situation has taken away from evaluating this offense properly, the smart money takes him and holds on. Drop your Jameson Williams receiving yards prediction for 2026 in the comments right now. Tell us whether you think he overtakes St. Brown as the primary target in this offense or whether they continue to coexist as complementary threats. And let us know if you have been sleeping on Williams the way the national media has. Smash that like button, subscribe if you have not already, and we will see you for the next one. Lions Nation, Detroit 313, let us go.